June 2019, they did conduct a survey, and this survey was gathering information on how data impacts innovation when it comes to SMEs. So let's dive right into the conversation. Victor, thank you for joining us.
Asante sana.
Okay, now when we talk about data in this idea of SMEs using data, what exactly do you mean by that data? Which data?
Basically, the context around which we did the survey is based on the challenges that SMEs face in Kenya. So traditionally, we have the traditional challenges that SMEs face of access to finance, access to markets, etc. So a particular focus in terms of challenge we wanted to focus on was information. So this is a lack of information generally. And given the explosion of data that companies are actually collecting without knowing, we realize that you can actually innovate, you can actually create what we call a competitive advantage by just looking at the data that you actually collect on a day-to-day basis. So we wanted to find out if SMEs know that, if they know that they actually collect data consciously or unconsciously, and possibly to what extent are they using this data to their advantage.
Okay, so you had a very interesting, one of the statistics that came out of that survey was that SMEs increasingly are turning to data for decision making, and you said it was about 34.8% or so. There's been an increase in the SMEs that are using data for decision making. So, you know, to what is this owed? Are they becoming more conscious? Is it that there's certain, you know, education that has been given out for them to be able to know this is what we need to do?
For the last 3 years has been very tough in the SME or SME space.
Yes.
So I think it's out of, it's a knee-jerk reaction to try to survive. Yeah. So we always say that the cost of acquiring a new customer is much more than just maintaining the existing customer. So you can use data to actually innovate and please existing customer that you have. An example would be you run a barber shop. You probably know your best paying clients, the ones who wanasumbua, and you can just basically use that little information to actually give better credit or better service to the better paying customer. So that's basically using data to just improve efficiency, improve your product, and just ensure that you live for another day.
Like you said, it's been a very challenging environment for SMEs for some time now, and a lot of them shut down within 1 to 3 years of operation. So what is the greatest challenge that you have sought to see from this that is pegged as the major reason, according to your research, that they do shut down? What is it that ails them the most?
I think there's no one particular challenge that actually SMEs, you know, that or what we call the silver bullet that actually makes an SME to fall. It's a barrage of challenges which work towards you know, SMEs not surviving. So this is access to finance, this is access to markets, information, technology, etc., etc. So there is no one challenge that actually you can pinpoint and say, okay, this is what is ailing SMEs.
Okay, so this data that you were referring to earlier, you did say it's in-house data, how your customers are responding, etc. You pull it together and make more informed decisions. But what about using external sources, for instance, you know, Google Analytics and things like that? How far are SMEs cognizant that this is something that they can do as well?
Yeah, so that's very interesting that you asked that. One of the insights that we actually got from the survey around, for example, services sector, tourism, travel, and the likes, are actually relying more and more on analytics. This is both from social media and just Google to actually see the purchasing behavior. You know, the number, like for example, how many clients are visiting your website, which particular products are they looking for, and using that information to give you know, an advantage to certain products that we feel customers are actually using. For example, I can give you an example of Bonfire. I think after the immigration challenges that Kenyans were facing in Nairobi, they actually came up with a product, I'm not very sure, but they actually came up with a product of going to register or to have your passport applied from Kisii, and they develop a package around
it.
So that's, you can see that's just using data to actually develop a product. I don't know how successful the product was, but that was very interesting. Another one would be, for example, Safaricom already launched the reverse call feature, which is just a product that is based on reading data that they actually get on a day-to-day basis. Okay. I think also a last example would be SMEs in the retail space who are using the loyalty card to see customer buying patterns, using CCTV camera to see customer movement within the store. So it means that they are able to better place products to where customers can be able to see. Yeah, so there is a lot of examples that SMEs are using data to innovate.
So becoming more customer centric, of course.
Exactly.
Customer is king, like the old saying goes. And so you'd rather tailor a product to what people want than just pushing out what you would like, because there's a demand for it existing.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. But let's talk a little bit about, of course, the internet penetration. And the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics has said that it's by Kenyan consumers about 39% in terms of penetration. So is that again informing the fact that it's a good tool for people to use when determining what their customer wants? But what are the other tools out there?
I think what we are seeing is, like you rightly put it, a lot of Kenyan consumers are moving towards purchasing items online. Yeah, so like retail penetration, formal retail penetration is around 30%. So it means a majority of Kenyans are still not going to formal retail shops to actually buy stuff. So online, we are seeing a lot of online activities around e-commerce. And I think this is where a lot of SMEs are trying to move towards.
So that's where we're going.
That's where we're going. So okay. Slowly, obviously there are challenges around e-commerce, but I think slowly things should improve over time.
And finally, as we wrap up, what particular sector are you noting has the greatest growth in terms of digital penetration and having a presence online?
I think it's majorly around service SMEs. So like I said, hospitality, tourism, travel. This is where we are seeing a lot of data, a lot of activities on websites, on social media, etc., etc.
Okay.
So, but also we are seeing a bit of manufacturing picking up data to help shape the kind of product that they are going to put out in the market.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us that insight today, Victor.
Asante sana.
All right. On that note, we are going to take a short commercial break. But when we come back, of course, we've got BBC's Money Daily for you. Do stay right here with us.